If you're new and this is strange to you, please don't feel the need to bow or anything. It's just as an opening and offering towards opening a new course. It's nice to bow in recognition of why we're here and how the lineage got to us. Yeah.
Some extra cushions.
What a super cool mix of people. All the oldies and the newbies. And for how many people is this the very first course you're taking? Oh, nice. Okay, good. How many of you have been to 3 Joules, just never taken a course? Okay, good. Well, I'm Lisette, and thank you so much for coming. It's such an honor to be here and share this. I was telling Coco that it's a little bit of a throwback. I remember being here 12 years ago teaching this same course. So it's full circle. 12 years of study, a 3-year retreat, and here we are in the same place. So thank you. It's a blessing for me to teach this again. This is totally one of my favorite courses. All 18 are special, but this is like my fave. It's packed. It's got a whole lot in it, and I'm gonna pack more into it, just so you know. From this perspective, looking back, the only addition I would make to the ACI courses is a stronger focus on meditation, like just because of what I wish I had done in my own path. So I'll be adding that to this. You can partake and do it as much as you'd like, or you can not. I'm not going to be there to force you, but I am going to make myself available to you. So I'll give you the instructions. You can practice at home or not. But if you're going to practice at home, you're welcome, and you're serious about it, you're welcome to come talk to me, or maybe at some point I'll give further instruction about actually keeping a journal. And I'd be happy to review your journals and give you feedback as to how to address different obstacles that might be coming up. So we'll add that component to this. This course already comes with homeworks and readings and quizzes and a final. Again, not required, but it would be super if you did them. In fact, you won't even really get the course. Like, it won't like seep into your heart unless you do that, because it's through reviewing and reading and thinking about the things that will make it relevant to your everyday life. And that's why we're here after all. You know, this isn't some kind of class that you come to and then you leave it and you go home and you forget about it for the week. This is something that should help inform the way you live your lives. It should help inform the way you approach your relationships. It should help inform every single thing you do. Because it's a worldview. It's a philosophy of life. And you, whether you're Jewish or Christian or whatever religion you happen to have grown up with, even if you're not that now, you'll find that it'll inform that better, and help you be a better whatever you were, whatever you are. Just because it's just, it's the key to unlocking things. It's the key to unlocking your heart if we get right down to it. So I'm excited to be on this journey, and I thank you, and I hope you hang around for it, and I hope you're in it for the long haul with me. It's up until very recently, I didn't even know that I would be staying in New York. So this was kind of like a big commitment, right? To be like, okay, let's do it. I think it was on purpose, to make me commit and just say, all right, like I'm here, I'm yours, I'm here every Monday, and I'll just kind of leave it at that for as long as we can go. And it just feels good because, in fact, there's nowhere else in the world I'd rather be than here with you. So, what other things? So, how many of you actually plan on coming back? Plan on trying to be here every Monday? Okay, so what I'd like you to do is maybe break up in fours. Not right now, but just look around and get into groups of fours. Introduce yourself to each other, and then maybe after class you can get each other's email and such. But right now, just look at 4 people next to you, 3 people next to you, so you can make a group of 4. And these are going to be kind of your class buddies, if you will. They'll help you. Those are the mimes downstairs. There's no yelling. That's great. Kind of like silent meditation retreat. Yeah. Sorry. Oh, that's great. What I'd like it to be like is I want you guys to know each other. I want to review the questions of the homeworks together. And I want you to have the time to do that with each other at the beginning of each class. So today's class 1, when you come back on Monday, the first part of the class, you'll just review the homeworks from class 1. Take your quizzes, turn them into me, we'll do our meditations, and then we'll get started with the class. So it's going to be, we may not even get through everything from class 1, and we'll have to see how that goes. I'm going to do my best, but I also want to not have to rush it. I'd rather do it nicely and do it properly and give you, I don't want to cut out the meditations, and I don't want to cut out the homeworks. I'd rather you spend the time with the material, and I'd rather spend the time with you to get these things across, because they're important, and one other technical thing, I have, how do I get out of this? Not this next Monday, but the following Monday. Does anyone have a calendar handy?
Mm-hmm. 23rd.
The 23rd.
Today's the 9th.
No, is that right?
The next
Oh, sorry.
Monday is the
What?
16th, and the next Monday is the 23rd.
The 23rd. So Monday the 23rd, I'm not going to be here. I would suggest that you come anyway and review things with your group and talk about your meditations, and just come anyway, I'll just download a whole lot of stuff before then, and then you can kind of like talk through it together. And that's the only Monday that I know that I won't be here for.
But on the long weekend, which is arriving next week, will we have a class Monday?
Next weekend's a long weekend.
Monday coming up is a holiday for some.
Oh, I'll be here
It's a
unless
banking holiday.
it's a.
Yes, it's a, all presidents.
Oh yeah,
So-
I get it. Okay, is next Monday okay for everyone? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll be here. Okay, thanks. I think that's about all the technical stuff. Is there any questions? How do they get their homeworks and stuff? Do they go to the ACI site?
And
Yeah.
we'll have links on the Facebook page to everything.
Yeah, I can write it on there too if you want.
Yeah, would you please?
Yeah.
So student is gonna write where you can download all the homeworks, all the readings, and everything from. It becomes like a thing where you have your ACI binders, and as you do them and as you complete them, you have your collection. I remember before through your retreat, we didn't do much cooking in the kitchen, and a lot of our binders were actually in the oven, like that was storage, and that's how much space they took. But it's worth it. It's really, honestly, like I took the time and I went through all 18, and every single one of them is an amazing course. So, do it. Read the materials. Really, you won't regret it. That's for sure. Okay. So that's where you go for everything, okay? And is there anything else that I'm forgetting? That everything is being recorded and will be on YouTube somewhere.
Everything will be recorded. We'll post the videos on the Facebook event page after class.
Okay.
And then you can always go to YouTube and search ACI New York, and these will come up too.
ACI New York.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're gonna miss a class, or if you can't attend anymore, but you still want to listen in, you can do that too. All right. Does anybody have any questions or anything before we begin?
I'm not sure that everyone, I know a lot of people have been commenting that why there are 18 courses, because it's been presented only as one course.
Oh, I see. Yes.
I think there's a few people who are really bad.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I didn't commit to 18. No.
I don't know.
Right. Okay, so thank you. So the Asian Classics Institute was founded by Geshe Michael Roach. And what he has done is he took basically what monks study in the monastery over many years, and he collected it, he translated it, and he compiled it into courses so that we Westerners who were interested in that material could, one, understand it, two, be able to read it in English, and three, have it available to us. So there are 18 of these courses total, 15 actual courses, 3 review courses. There are 2 others besides me who are doing ACI courses right now. Hector, who's on course 18?
No, of course 11.
11, and then John Stillwell,
17.
course 17. So there are different people at different points within the 18, the cycle of the 18. And this is the first. So by taking the first, it's not like you're committing to all 18, but it's a good start, right? This is kind of the fundamentals of Buddhism course. And hopefully it'll answer the questions you have about it, and you can decide whether you want to continue or not after that. I will try to represent it as best I can. Any flaws in it, are solely my own. The material is really incredible, the teachings. One of the reasons I went into a 3-year retreat was I wanted to know for certain that there was a veracity to the path and the process within the path. Not just for myself, because I had along my way seen improvements, right, in my world and myself. But if I was going to continue to teach, right, there's like a big responsibility. Like, you don't want to just pass stuff on. You want to know what you're talking about. And so my whole motivation of going into a 3-year retreat was just that. Like, does the path work? Can we do it in this day and age? Can a female do it? Because a lot of those authors of the texts are male. So I had all of these questions. And I feel like there would be no other way to spend the rest of my life, because this has truly changed and transformed my life and my world. And I would say it works. I would say the path works. So if you truly want to transform your heart and your world, this is a nice place to start, you know. And is it the path for everybody? No, probably not. But it's worth checking out, because maybe it's yours, you know, and only you can know that. Only you can figure that out. Yeah. Yeah? Okay. Okay. So why are we even here? I bet every single one of you would give me a different answer to that. My friend told me to check it out, or I'm interested in Buddhism, or I have no idea, right? There's probably the whole range. But I would venture to guess that probably every single one of you, on some level, just wants to be happier, you know, wants to see changes in your world. And it's a really fundamental thing, right? Just genuine happiness. And I'm not just talking kind of a fleeting emotion. I'm talking about genuine happiness that kind of is your default. Imagine that. Like that, it's not like life won't continue to throw punches your way. That's not what'll happen necessarily. But what'll happen is that what'll really happen is that you'll stop ducking, and you'll stop expending so much energy to hide from all those uncomfortable places, you know. And it's when we hide from those uncomfortable places, it's when we really grip tightly to the things that we want and really push hard against the things we don't want, that we suffer, you know. So the further you go in your path, I think you just stop holding to things as tightly. You stop trying to break the falls as deeply. You'll learn to really feel things and not run away. And somehow that lets it come into you, and it goes just through you very quickly. Very quickly. You know, so like the last time I taught, the very first time it was like the first night I taught back at the Three Jewels after having been away, and you know, this place is really nostalgic for me, as I was saying, and so I got emotional at one point, and a couple of people approached me afterwards and were like, I was surprised you were emotional. And I'm like, imagine that. I'm totally not Spock, you know. I have emotions. I totally do. So it's not like you'll stop feeling. My gosh, I don't want to stop feeling, right? Like, I don't want to be in New York and have something like the 9/11 happen and not feel that. You know, I don't. In fact, I want to feel it really deeply. And I want to understand what each and every one of you is feeling deeply. I don't want to run from that, you know? And it's that wish and that desire that allows it to come into you and flow out of you. And so those moments of like being, sometimes it's not moments, right? Sometimes it's days, sometimes it feels like years, that you're like stuck in some kind of affliction or something that you can't get over. That'll happen less and less. That'll happen less and less. This wisdom is for that. You know, it's to help you start taking responsibility for your world, for your feelings, for what you want to see, and stop being the victim of things, start being the creator of things. All of that. All of that is wrapped up in this course, and it goes way more into detail as the 18 courses go along. And that's why there are 18, because this is kind of like the 3 principal paths. It's like, you know, boom, like this is what Buddhism is. But the future courses really go into them deeply and go take you through all the different aspects of it. And it's just incredible, and I'm very thankful to Geshe Michael for those courses. Truly perfect from my perspective. So, you know, I was thinking about happiness and genuine happiness, and I'm a psychologist, so I can't help but look at statistics and studies. And there was this one study that says currently 1 in 10 Americans is on antidepressants. You know, 1 in 10. How many are in this room? I don't know, but for sure, you know, a handful of you, you know. And 1 in 4 women between 40 and 50 are on antidepressants. And that's a lot of really sad people, you know. I mean, not just sad, but really sad. And what was super interesting, so there's that side of things, but then this other study showed that 2/3 of those people who are on the antidepressants are actually misdiagnosed. You know, they're false positives. They're actually not clinically depressed. Like maybe their husband died. Maybe something happened. Terrible, you know? Well, yeah, that person is probably super sad, but are they clinically depressed? That may be something different, you know? So there's the 2/3 of people that actually aren't clinically depressed. However, this is the one that's the clincher. Studies all found that most of the people went in wanting the drug. The ones that are clinically depressed and the ones that are not clinically depressed. And that's the key right there. I don't know if you capture that. We're going in saying, I can't take this. I need something. Give me a drug. Give me a pill. Make it go away. You know, fast. That's the kind of society we've become, right? Where it's just like, and I'm seeing it a lot, where because we're multitasking all the time, you know, there's the phones, there's the computers, there's the people, there's all kinds of things going on, we're actually less equipped to deal with ourselves. We can't sit in those uncomfortable places because we don't even have the tools to know what to do when we're there. And it scares the heck out of us. So yeah, I totally get it. I totally get why we would say, just give me a drug. please. You know, I get it, but so that's what I want to do. I want to give you the tools to sit in those uncomfortable places. It might be yelling at the top of your lungs to get it out, but it can also be meditation. You know, and meditation is hard, and meditation takes time, and it's not a drug, and it's not fast, but it's worth it. It's worth it. It changes you on a cellular level. You know, I come out of retreat and it's so cool. There are all these studies about how, like, oh, it could change your DNA, it could change the gray matter, you know, and yeah, I had some really freaky experience coming out of 3-year retreat, like very like tangible proof that it changes you physically even. You know, there's my mind and the state of my mind and the ease that comes with that. But then there was the physical too. And it's worth the time, you know. I've also seen how destructive it can be to just rely on intoxicants or drugs or other things to get through the hard, uncomfortable places. I'm seeing that a lot in New York right now. And I don't know how else to help except to offer this, you know, because it helped me. And I can only pray that it'll help you, and I'll make myself as available as I can to help you on your path. Yeah.
We used to have meditation during Mass.
I know. I was gonna do a meditation. That's why I'm kind of like, let me kind of change things here. Yeah. I'm used to it though. I remember. So just to reiterate, like, I'm not here to make you Buddhist. You know, I'm not here to proselytize that this is the best path. But I'm here to share the wisdom that comes from this path, you know, and you apply it however you want. It's a beautiful thing, I think. The fundamentals of Buddhism is they show you, it's all about like, hey, what do we really want? Okay, we say, I said we were here because we want to be happy. And then I tell you we're all unhappy. And so what's the mistake, you know? What's the mistake we're making? There's lots of mistakes we're making. But fundamentally, we all want to be better people so we can serve and help others. At the bottom of it all, you know? I mean, you've been there, right? In the middle of some big affliction and you're like, oh, I don't want to be this. You know, we don't want to be that. No, we just want to help others. And I think this is a way to get there. This is a way to make yourself available to others in ways maybe you haven't been up to now. This is a path, these are the steps of the path to enlightenment, you know. Everything is here for you. It's incredible, this package that we've been given. The teachings are intact. You have someone who's really kind of devoted their lives to it, here to share and learn from you too. I mean, it's not like because I did a 3-year retreat that I'm done. No, in a lot of ways it's just the beginning. So we're on it together, you know, and I hope you'll join us and join me for that, and use these teachings to help you reach your goals. So suffering. Suffering is, they say in Buddhism, a mistake of the mind. You know, each of you has the potential to correct it. Each of you has the potential to end it for yourselves. And eventually for others. You know, that part comes maybe later, but you'll start seeing big changes in the world. Like, so I come out of retreat, right, and I'm like, oh, so what's going to be the big change? When Geshe Michael came out of 3-year retreat, he said, like, their big change was all of a sudden yoga was every place. There was a yoga studio on every corner. And we come out of 3-year retreat, and all of a sudden, like, everyone is talking about meditation and how great meditation is, and how it changes your brain, and your health can be better, and what was another one I read? The love receptor to make you more loving. All kinds of things, right? So that's one of the big things that changed when we came out. But it's not like people in my world aren't suffering. You know, I still see that. And I see that I can't fix it for them. But what I can do that I don't think I could do before, I think I can hold the space better for people. You know, I think I can make them comfortable so that they can feel what they need to feel to get beyond it. And that's kind of it seems and sounds like nothing, but it's kind of a big deal when you see it in action. You know, because they don't have to suffer, and they'll figure it out. So this is about ending suffering. This is about having that default of happiness underneath everything. This is about transforming your life. And we're going to do it methodically. We're going to use the scriptures, and we're going to meditate, and hopefully we'll study too. They say you have to like review things 3 times for it to really sink in that noggin of yours. It's true. I think it really is worth spending that kind of time on it, if you can, as much as you can. You know, this is like 2,500 years old. This is like deep, long lineage, and it's seeped really with lots of like incredible beings who have walked the path. And we'll talk about them today. That's one of the things we're going to talk about is the lineage. I was very blessed to study with Ken Rinpoche. And the book that we're using comes from him. You know, it comes down from him. I'll talk about him. So his name is Ken Rinpoche. Ken Rinpoche, also his full name, just so you know, is Ken Rinpoche Geshe, Geshe, Lobsang, Lobsang, Tarchin, Tarchin. It'll help, by the way, if you bring notebooks and pens, just so you can have things to refer back to.
Does anyone need a piece of paper or a pen? Yeah.
Yeah, let's go ahead and pass that out. Thank
How many? One,
Anybody else?
3, 4,
We have lots of pens and paper out there,
5.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't be shy. I always like to have like a special notebook, especially for each course. And it's nice to have it in the beginning.
I mean, if you guys
So
need
it's,
extra, there's more here.
So Ken Rinpoche's dates are 1921 to 2004. He gives a really beautiful forward to this book that we're going to be using. And I'll give you the names of all of that. But right now we're just going to talk about Ken Rinpoche before I go into the book. So in it, the main reasons for him writing this book, number one is to like demonstrate how gaining belief in the 3 principal paths changed his life. And when people like that, who have really taken and devoted their lives to the path, share their experiences, there's usually something to be gained from it. Yeah? And he's incredible. His whole kind of, in the reading you'll see his kind of the story of his life, and it's really great. Well, let me finish this and then I'll tell you a story. The second reason he wrote it is to explain the lineage, so you can have conviction that these teachings are pure teachings. This third reason is to give you an experience of what it was like to be in Tibet, and how extraordinary, truly extraordinary it is that you have these teachings. They survived. They survived despite the fact that many of the monasteries were destroyed and burned down. It's so easy to lose it, and that's why taking this course seriously is worth it. It kind of honors the lineage in that way. It's almost impossible that you have them here, in this form. We can lose them so easily, so quickly. So about Ken Rinpoche, he enters the monastery when he's 7. The year was 1928, and he's not at all a serious student, at all. He's 8 years old, and he's a bit of a prankster, and that's kind of how he's known amongst his friends, and those are the people he's hanging out with. Then something really beautiful happens. He meets Pabonka Rinpoche. You'll hear a lot about Pabonka Rinpoche. And the first time he meets him, Pabonka Rinpoche puts his hand on his head and he's like, quite right, quite right. He says, now this one looks like a bright boy, And that changed his life. He took that as a blessing, We can all maybe remember a time, a pivotal moment like that, right? When someone believed in us maybe more than we believed in ourselves. But imagine the most extraordinary being you could imagine. Pabonka Rinpoche in his time was the most charismatic teacher in Tibet. He was like the big wig. He was like the Dalai Lama, like as big as we see the Dalai Lama and as, much as he's revered. That's the way it was with Pabonka Rinpoche. So for him to come and say, you're special, yeah, he took it. He took it like a blessing, and all of a sudden he changed. He got serious about his studies. He got better Dharma friends. He went on to become a really, really great scholar because he just turned his life around at that point. At 18, he attended Pabonka Rinpoche's historical teachings on Jason Kapa's Lamrim Chenmo. So Pabonka Rinpoche taught the Lamrim, which are the steps of the path to enlightenment, for like 30 days, 6 hours a day, and thousands of monks went to this teaching. And one of his students, Trijang Rinpoche, took incredible notes. And the notes Trijang Rinpoche took became the book Liberation Thrust into Your Hands. It's the most incredible series of books. There's 3 of them. You probably have them here, right? Yeah. And Geshe Michael's been teaching from them, leading the Lama retreats based upon them. I've taken them into retreats several times, even before the 3-year retreat. Yeah, so he was there, like at that historic teaching. And the essence of what was taught those 30 days is what we'll be covering in this course. We'll be talking about renunciation, we'll be talking about bodhicitta, and we'll be talking about correct worldview. That's like the 3 principal paths right there. So the lineage, everything starts with Lord Buddha, 2,500 years ago. So you could say really the steps of the path began back then as they were taught by Lord Buddha in the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras, the Prajna Paramita. Goes to India. A great many realized beings are there. And I'll list these names and I'll give them to you, and they may not mean anything to you right now, and those of you who've studied for a long time, they mean everything to you by this point. So you have Master Arya Nagarjuna, who was in 200 AD. He's sometimes referred to as the second Buddha. I've taught Arya Nagarjuna. He is kind of known as like the king of emptiness. If you're new, you may not even know what emptiness means, which is really exciting for me. I'll talk about it. It's just about your worldview. Is it so that the world is coming at you, or could it be that it's coming from here outward? And if so, if it's coming from you outward, what are the implications? Huge. So, just in a nutshell, I'll get totally into that later. The next one, Master Sangha and Vasubandhu, 300 AD. Asanga and Vasubandhu. Then we have Master Shantideva. Shantideva comes around 700 AD. And that's the course that Hector's teaching right now, right? Yeah. So he's kind of the compassion guy, bodhicitta. He's the one we go to for how do we open our hearts along this path. My experience is that the reason that those two, like wisdom and compassion, are so important is because sometimes you need wisdom, and in order to go further in your wisdom, you need to break your heart open. And then once you break your heart open, it opens you up, and then all of a sudden you can get a little bit more wisdom in there. And they kind of feed each other this way in a really direct kind of fashion. I was talking to a group of people about how, I mean, I don't know if you could imagine 3 years, 3 months, 4 days in a deep meditation, silent meditation retreat. Meditate a lot every day, like, I mean, maybe sometimes as much as 10 hours a day after day after day. Like, what's going to motivate you? Why? Why in the middle of the winter when it's so cold would you roll out of your bed at 2:30 in the morning to start your day? Why? And every day when I sat on that cushion, first thing, I was very blessed that I was very blessed in retreat not to have the obstacle of not being able to get on the cushion. That's one of the first obstacles to meditation is laziness, right? I was very blessed not to be afflicted by that. But you get on the cushion, and what's going to make you go further? I broke my heart open every day. Every day I tried to conjure up something that would break my heart open, almost to the point, and oftentimes to the point of tears, so that I could just have a good day of meditation. It works. That's how we work. So many of the obstacles to our spiritual life come because our hearts are so closed, because we're afraid of being in those uncomfortable places, and because we're afraid of looking at what's in our minds. And you know what? It's ugly. It's ugly. It's ugly for all of us. You're not alone. Really, But if you can get in there, and if you can sit with it, and if you can look at it, you'll totally conquer it. You can really get towards like being fearless because you've seen it all. Because you know who you are and you're willing to face it, and that's just the way it goes. So then we have Master Kamala Shila, and he's 750 AD. Nice meditation text by Master Kamala Shila. I'll teach him one day for sure. And then around 800 AD, go to Tibet, and that's where we have like Lord Atisha and such. Then we're going to jump. Bless you. And if these are new teachings to you, new courses to you, you're going to hear this name over and over and over. Jason Kappa. Jason Kappa. And I'll write his name. His dates are, it should be like, it's gonna become like a mantra to you. 1357 to 1419. Literally, this will be asked of you over and over and over, and it'll be drilled into you so much that you'll just spout it out like Coco just did, because it's just in there. And it's so nice to have things that are just in there, right? Like we were there's a memorization component to this, to all your homeworks, I would totally do it. In fact, I think I'll do it with you because I didn't do that bit. I did everything else. I did homeworks, quizzes, meditations, but I don't think I ever, like, it's not still in there, not all of them. Some of them are, like dates and such, but especially in this day and age, we need to remember how to memorize things. You know, it's a whole different skill. I was with my mom, and she was she doesn't know how to use her cell phone very well. So I asked her for a number, and she tells me from the top of her head. And I'm just like, wow, I know like one number by memory. You know, that's really scary. You know, so to use that that skill and to work your mind in that way, I think is important. It stretches you. Come on, do it. You know you want to. Or maybe you don't know you want to. So, Jason Kappa is also known as Lobsang, Lobsang, Lobsang Drakpa, Drakpa, Drakpa. Lobsang means pure-minded one, pure-minded, and Drakpa means well-renowned. So Jason Kappa is kind of like the Shakespeare, the Thomas Jefferson of Tibet. You know, he's just like incredible scholar, incredible meditator, incredible practitioner, and you'll hear about him a lot. He received his novice ordinations at the age of 8, and he starts getting like some of the highest teachings at that point. By 25, he has taken his full ordinations and continues to study deeply and debate deeply. He gains realizations. So this is the interesting thing about him, is that he becomes a conduit for the lineage, such that Manjushri can speak directly to him. And Jason Kappa writes thousands and thousands of pages that he says he dictates directly from what Manjushri tells him. You know, and I remember hearing that like my very first class, and I couldn't imagine what that was like. But as time has gone, I've really come to appreciate what lineage means. And that's lineage right there, like that. The fact that Jason Kappa could move aside and like tap into Manjushri and receive those teachings, that's what lineage means. Like, it's not all these list of people's guests, it's the list of people and their dates. But it's how can we reach them? How can we say, teach me, you know, and actually receive something, you know? I know it's totally possible. I spent the first year and a half of retreat on one particular text with by one person, and he became like my best friend of retreat, you know? And that's lineage. You know, that's lineage. And meditation helps you. It helps you move out of the way. And when you move out of the way, anything is possible. Truly. So let's see, what else about Jason Kappa? So he writes over 10,000 pages of commentaries. And then, so he writes like the Lamrim Channel. He writes like this long text. And then, you know, people receive the text and they're like, this is great, Jason Kappa, but that's like a lot of reading. could you condense it into maybe 14 verses? You know, and he does. He does. And could you imagine, like, the power of mind to say, I'm going to condense like 1,000 pages into 14 verses? And he does, you know, out of compassion, because we folks with thick skulls sometimes need that, right? We need to start someplace just a little easier to tap into, and that's the gift he's given us. So the 14 verses. Let's see. So the 3 principal paths that we're going to be studying is just let me give you the Tibetan. Lam, Lam, which means path. So, TSO, means principle. Nam, Nam, means type. And Sum, SUM, means 3. So the 3 principal paths. So Jason Kuppa has 4 original students, okay? One of them is called Ngwan Drakpa. So Ngwan is Ngawang, Ngwan Drakpa, Drakpa. And he's kind of sent out with the mission of building 100 monasteries, and that's how he's known, this particular student. So from Jason Kuppa, then we go down to Pabonka Rinpoche. You know, we talked about him when we talked about Ken Rinpoche. So Pabonka Rinpoche's dates are 1878 to 1941. He's popularly known as Daishin Ningpo, and I'll spell Daishin Ningpo for you. D-E-C-H-E-N, Daishin Ningpo, N-Y-I-N-G-P-O, Ningpo. And Daishin Ningpo, Daishin means bliss essence, and Ningpo means great. So basically his name is Essence of Great Bliss. Pabonka Rinpoche's most famous student is Trijang Rinpoche. Trijang is Trijang, Trijang Rinpoche, Rinpoche. Trijang Rinpoche's dates are 1901 to 1981. He was the junior tutor of the Dalai Lama, this current Dalai Lama. So Ken Rinpoche studied with both. Trijang Rinpoche, who's like our direct lineage, was a student of both Pabonka Rinpoche and Trijang Rinpoche. Okay. Then there was Geshe Michael. Okay. So Geshe Michael was born in 1952, and he still lives. He's still with us today. He studied at Saramay in India for many years with Ken Rinpoche, and here in Howell also. And that's how the lineage comes to you. These texts, the readings that were compiled, these courses that were all compiled by Geshe Michael. John Stillwell was the one who recorded them and put them all online for everyone. So it's really actually incredible. I mean, here, and Hector was there for the very first teaching. So Hector and John Stillwell are all kind of like there for the first rounds of these courses. And they're here with you at the 3 Jewels, so it's incredible. I also had the honor of being blessed by Ken Rinpoche and studied with Geshe Michael and doing the 3-hour retreat. So I'm in there too. Not so shabby. You know, I've been blessed a lot. I've had lots of blessings. Yeah. Lucky. So lucky, so fortunate to have had that and to be here to share it and pass it on. So let's see. So just an interesting note on Pabonka Rinpoche before we move on. By the way, if this is like your first course in Total Intro, this is how the courses go. It's like no different than kind of like a college course, really. There are a lot of lists. There are a lot of names and a lot of dates. And you'll get used to it. At first it's a little, like I hope it's not off-putting, really. You know, I think maybe you just have to be able to wrap your mind around that's what it's going to be. Because this course is meant to kind of give you the full feeling of, listen, like it came from this person to this person to this person to this person to you. You know, we've got to kind of go through that process, right? And it's nice. I don't know anywhere else you get that. Now I'm kind of in the habit, like even when I go to yoga class, I'm like, well, who was your teacher? What did you do? Because I want to know. You know, it's important. This is like I just read this really beautiful quote by Gandhi, and he's like, you can hurt my body, you can torture it, you can even like kill it, but you can't imprison my mind. You know, and something about that struck me so deeply. Our mind is our most valuable asset, hands down. So if we're going to put something into it, we better kind of check it out. No? Like it's important. This is your spiritual real estate. This is your mind. And you don't want to just trust it to anyone. You don't want to just sit and do just anything with it. You know, I think, would Gandhi do that? You know, would Jesus do that? You know, it's like one of those questions. What do you want to put into your mind? What do you want to trust? Who do you want to trust with your mind? And when you look at it that way, you ought to want to know the answer to these questions. You should want to know where things come from. You know, and so that's another reason these teachings are so precious. You're gonna get it. You know, you're totally gonna get the entire lowdown as to how it got to you. And you know, and I hope you stick with it. It's just, I think you just kind of have to know what it is that's gonna come your way in order to orient yourself for it. Okay. So on Pabonka Rinpoche. So you'll get this a lot, okay? They'll say in his former life he was such and such. Okay, so in Buddhism they believe in former lives, past lives, future lives. If you don't believe in that, you can just, what they say is like shelve it for now. Like just say, okay, well, I don't quite get that, I don't quite believe in that, but that's what this is. Okay, so he was believed to have been Chankya Rilpe Dorje, CHANGKYA, Chankya Rilpe, ROLPAY, Dorje, DORJE. His dates were 1717 to 1786.
Who is this?
This is Pabonka Rinpoche's former wife.
Can you read the dates?
1717 to 1786. So Chandya Rinpoche Dorje was the teacher of the Emperor of China. And he also identifies himself very strongly with Ngawang Drakpa, Jason Kappa's student, that one of the 4 that I told you was sent off to build 100 monasteries. He also identifies very strongly with him. So how do we take that, right? Does identify mean that was also one of his former lives? It's a little unclear, but you can look at it that way. The idea is, in saying this, that because he identifies so closely with one of Jason Kappa's top 4 students, he actually becomes himself a vessel for Jason Kappa to come through. So the idea is that when he gave that 30-day teaching that has become so well known, he was actually just kind of being a vessel for Jason Kappa to speak through him. Okay, so again, it's just showing how lineage works. I think any of you have done it. Have you ever experienced when you're teaching or when you're helping somebody, if you're a musician, when you're playing someone's music, something happens when you just move out of the way? This happened to me with music too, and music instrument, where you just play and you get lost in the music such that you don't exist anymore. And it's the author of the music coming through you, playing that piece of music. And you're kind of back here watching, wow, that's cool. It's happened with dance too, right? Where you're just kind of you can just step back and just be oh, yeah. Some of us will call it peak experiences or some kind of feeling that it's more than just you that's coming through. So if you can't relate quite to this, just think of it that way. And it's happened to me in teaching sometimes, when you just really kind of remove yourself from the picture and just say God, I want them really to get the real stuff from Jason Kappa. Let me just move out of the way and wish he would come through. Maybe he does. Maybe he could. It just depends on your view. But sure could be a possibility. Sure is a possibility that could happen. So like I said, liberation thrust into the palm of your hands were taken by notes by Trijang Rinpoche, who was a student who got translated into a book. And that's how we have it. So, what does he say? There are certain things that we're going to talk about today. One of them is how to listen properly, how to be a good student, in these teachings. We'll talk about who these teachings are for. He also speaks about the Buddhist teachings in terms of specifically the 3 principal paths. And why he believes without these 3 principal paths, liberation can't necessarily be achieved. So all of that's going to be in here. So let's go to how to listen properly. Do you guys need a little break? Yeah, I think so. Let me give you just a 5-minute break to stretch your legs and get some water, and then we'll go on to the lists.